Hello everyone, I hope all of you are doing fine. Firstly, let me take this opportunity and wish each and every one of you a very happy new year. Now, when I say the term correlation coefficient, the first thing that comes to your mind is Pearson correlation coefficient. Pearson correlation coefficient is basically a coefficient that describes a linear relationship between x and y. What if there is a nonlinear relationship between x and y? It is here that I discovered an amazing correlation coefficient called as Chatterjee correlation coefficient. It's basically a new coefficient in town proposed by Chatterjee. He is the professor of mathematics and statistics at Stanford University. So in this video, without wasting any further time, I'll start the implementation of Chatterjee correlation coefficient using Python. So let's get started. I'm using Google Colab for this particular activity. Let me start the activity by pressing connect. I will add the link to the research paper in the description section of the video. This big formula that you see here is basically the Chatterjee correlation coefficient, which I'll help you understand using Python and pandas. Let me start the activity by importing our necessary modules, which is NumPy, pandas and matplotlib. So I guess these are the three libraries that I'll be requiring. Now let me generate some synthetic data set. So let me choose the number of samples. So I'll select n equal to 200. Let me generate some x values. So I'll say x is equal to np.random.uniform minus 1, comma 1 and n. So essentially I'm creating a uniform distribution between minus 1 to 1 and it will have 200 samples. Now for this particular distribution that I've created, I'll set up y value is equal to np.power x comma 2. So I'm kind of squaring the x values. So essentially the equation of the curve is y equal to x square. So let me run this. Now let me go forward and plot x and y values. So I'll say plt.scatter x comma y. So as you can clearly see, there is a relationship between x and y. It's not linear in nature. It's kind of non-linear. So what I'll do next is I'll use Chatterjee's correlation coefficient formula and check what value I'm getting when I kind of pass in x and y values to the formula. Before passing in the formulas, I'll also have to derive the formulas. So if you look at this particular formula, it looks very complex, but this r term that you see is basically the rank of your y variable. If you want like an in-depth understanding, I would highly recommend you to go through the paper. If you want like a simplified understanding of what and how the formula works, then this is something that I'll show you using code. So before I implement the formula, I'll first catch hold of the x and y values and I'll pass it to a data frame df. So I'll say df is equal to pd.dataframe. I'll create a dictionary inside this. So x, and I'll pass in, so I'll call this capital X and I'll pass in x values. Here I have y and I'll pass in y values. So I have x and y. This is my data frame df. So x and y values are essentially part of x and y columns in my data frame df. Now I'll move forward and I'll use a function called as rank for a particular column. So wait, let me run the code so that you are very clear. So I'll say df rank of y, or let's start with rank of x. So rank of x basically will kind of sort the entire column in the ascending order. The first value would be assigned rank 1 and the last value would be assigned rank 200. So the ri plus 1 that you see here is nothing else but rank. So the first thing is rank of x, which is nothing else but df of x dot rank. Now when I do df of head, this is what is visible to me. So you have rank of 199. Let me show you the min max values of rank as well. So df of rank of x dot min is basically 1. So it starts from 1. And the max value is 200. So I have 200 samples. The first sample has a rank of 1, which is the lowest value, and the value that is maximum will have a rank of 200. If this idea is clear, let me implement the same logic for r of y, or let me calculate rank of y. So the formula is again simple. Rank of y is equal to df of y dot rank, and let me run this. Now when I show you df of head, this is what I have. Now we have created two columns, x and y. Where are we gonna use this? Let me go one step at a time now. So now let me show you where this ri plus 1 comes in. So r of I is essentially the rank of your y variable, provided you have sorted your entire data frame using the rank of x variables. If this is too much to digest, I'll kind of show you this part in code. So let me go down. So now if I sort the entire data frame by calling the sort values function, I'll say by is equal to rank of x. So now my entire data frame would be sorted based on rank of x. So if you see closely, you will have values like 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final rank value would be 200. Now if this idea is clear, all you have to do is now implement the formula which is given here, which is r of I plus 1 minus r of I divided by n square minus 1. After the summation is done, multiply the entire value or the result by 3 and subtract 1 from it, you get the answer, or subtract this term from 1 and you get the answer. If this still is confusing, let me show you. So r of I plus 1, it would be this particular value minus this particular value. So rather than running a loop and doing this, there is an efficient function called as diff. So I'll kind of make use of that particular function. So let me calculate this particular term, which is the summation term, which is absolute value of r of I plus 1 minus r of I. So let me go down. So I'll say sum term is equal to df of rank of y dot diff. So it helps you calculate difference between two consecutive rows in a column. So that is the purpose that diff solves here. So I'll do that. Dot absolute value. So essentially I wanted the absolute value. So that is what I'm plugging in here. And I call the sum function. So this is essentially the first term that you saw in the equation. So let me run this. Okay, there is a small error which I can see clearly. I have to put brackets for sum as well. So now my sum term will have a certain value, which is 395 in our case. Now the final value is coefficient is equal to 1 minus 3 into the sum term. So I'll put a bracket here, divided by power of n comma 2 minus 1. So that is the n square minus 1 term here, which is what I'm doing here. And I have to close this particular bracket, and that's about it. So coefficient here, I'll print it as well. So the value is visible in the same cell. So this is the term that I have, which is y equal to x square. Now you might be wondering, if there is a linear relationship, will it capture it as well? And the answer is yes. So let me go up and change it to x only. So now I have y equal to x basically, which is what you would see here. I kind of rerun the entire thing that I've done so far. Here you would have rank of x equal to rank of y, because it's kind of moving linearly. So let me keep going down. So now this is what you would observe here, given it's like totally linear. Now I'll calculate the sum term, and I'll calculate the coefficient, which is 0.98, much greater as compared to 0.97. But yeah, you get the idea, right? So this is something that I wanted to share across with all of you. So ideally, if there is a non-linear relationship that is present between two columns, so rather than relying heavily on, say, correlation coefficient, I think this is something that you can use to understand if there are non-linear patterns in your data between two columns, and thus make an informed decision in terms of, say, generating insights, or in terms of doing feature selection and whatnot. So this is something that I wanted to share across with all of you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do like such implementation videos, then please hit the subscribe button, and also press the bell icon to be notified for amazing new videos on data science and machine learning. Thank you so much for watching the video.